If I was on a night out on a Friday night, this is where you have to come up and make sure the young people, there's none of them lying about because most of them were drinking in the park. As well, see them new houses? That was all Protestant houses until about 10 years ago. There was a few families left, and then they all left and sort of burnt stuff before they left. That's a bomb, actually. That is a bomb.
I think so.
Do you reckon?
But I mean, like, it sounds like way in town or something. It's great to have that on video, isn't it? Come on, get out of here.
Shankill's far bigger. But you think there's more houses in here?
Aye. Because it's laid out differently, because ours is like really one big lane, theirs is big long streets.
Big square.
Memorial. This is the Sinn Féin Centre in Ardoyne. The memorial to the side of it of people who's been killed in the Troubles in and around this area. The most significant one is Thomas Begley, who was
Shankill bomb.
Involved in the Shankill bomb.
Begley, Thomas Begley.
He was from Ardoyne.
But I'm looking at like names like McKee. There's McKees from the Shankill, McQuaid's. There's McQuaid's.
Yeah, Robinson.
Murphy.
It's actually like just that there and people's from one area.
People from Shankill, like yourselves, are coming in and learning about this here. It's like a step forward for everybody.
But that's alright. Like, you know what I mean? And no matter what you think, like, or what values you have, and when you look at that there, like, hits home.
This is Peps Memorial. This is where he hung himself off. It was off there and it was off that branch, I think. Obviously it was in 2003, and then like every year, every anniversary, people come up here and sat down in flowers, and they don't last very long, obviously, but this is where everyone would come just to pay respect. And this is like up in the start, they even had something for him and all. Like it's always something going on for him, and just redid it. And it's just the start of it all.
Have any of you ever heard of Peps project? You know, the suicide awareness. This is the reason why it was called Peps, because their nickname was obviously, it says there, Pep. It had a major impact on people in Ardoyne at the time because of where it was, the situation in here, and because everybody knew him.
Yep.
I was his football manager, not at the time, but a few years earlier. And I had him over in Liverpool, meeting the Liverpool players and stuff. There's a guy, a wee lad today, his brother died a few years ago, off there, and
he did it today, or he did it?
On
he hanged himself on Friday night.
Well, Saturday morning, early hours, just funeral was the day. He's only 17.
That's crazy, like, isn't it?
I mean, your area is different from us. You have things going on in that area that we don't have going on. I think our young ones were looking at the curfew things and all that you were getting, but we don't. It doesn't happen in here. You know, the paramilitaries aren't really seen visibly, and there are still people out there and on armed activities in and around Ardoyne, but you know it's low level at the minute. The way it used to be years ago, whereas in your area you have people who's running your
still
areas.
controlling it, do you know what I mean? The way you UVF still controlled.
My name is Michael Doherty, and I'm from Ardoyne, obviously. I was 19 years of age, was arrested, possessing explosives and firearms, and went to jail. Sentenced to 16 years and done 8 years in jail. But while in jail, I self-taught myself to become an artist, and I'm responsible for all the murals now. You've probably seen all around Ardoyne there and on the falls road and stuff. I do sort of murals with youngsters and sort of any sort of discussions with them, you know, about my past and what it was like back then to what it's now, you know, what we have now today. Because I mean, years ago, you wouldn't have met a Protestant side or seen anybody on the other side. It was just fenced off. It was just constant police and Brits on the streets, you know, and you were being harassed, and you know, people joined the IRA. I joined the IRA. At the time, you could say you were fighting a war.
Why did you join? Were you forced?
It wasn't forced. Like somebody came in and put a gun and said, "I joined the IRA." You were forced in the situation. We were forced in a position where you had no rights. You had nobody spoke up for your community. Your community was constantly being put down. You know, people were being shot dead by loyalists. Republicans were shooting loyalists. You know, it was like just caught up in the thing. You know, and So you rose up against it, and like anybody, if you feel oppression, if you see wrong doing, then you're gonna try and do something about it. The only time we had contact with the Protestant communities, we were throwing something at them, or they were throwing something back at us, and that's just the way it was. There's no. They thought we had horns in our head, and we thought you had horns in our heads, you know, and there was just no. There was never any communication or interaction with each other, and anybody who did sort of cross over was victimised, you know, they were picked on, they were doing like about being oranges and all, and saying what are you doing, like about being females, you know, so whereas now, because of the whole political layout now, the whole peace process and stuff, you know, it's more relaxed and more, you know, you can cross. I mean, I've seen kids now walking across interfaces and coming back again and meeting friends and stuff like that there, and I think it's brilliant, because it just breaks down a lot of barriers.
So, right, okay, you're in the Shankill Estate, everybody knows the Shankill Estate. I think you just know the Shankill Estate, yeah? Right, okay, basically, up until, 3 years ago, Leslie? Maybe 4? This was Johnny Adair's stronghold, so UFFC company. This was, you couldn't come in this area without them knowing you were in or why you were in. It was just a complete stronghold, all down. You all know the story about the feud, don't you? Yeah. The all this feud that took place in Shankill was between the UFF and UVF, but it sort of ripped the whole Shankill apart, ripped the heart out of Shankill. See, to be honest, see what you are hearing about the sort of paramilitary strongholds in the Shankill. It's vice versa with Ardoyne. You know what I mean? Same stories, same people keep creeping up. You know what I mean? I'm sure everybody here have all heard of Eddie Copeland. Yep. You know what I mean? Eddie Copeland for there you go, but Eddie Copeland for on the Shankill would be the equivalent of what probably Johnny Adair was for yourselves. Just one of them notorious or infamous people. Alright, so any questions at all on the way around, just stop them. This is one of the, there's about 3 murals in here now that still with connections till the paramilitaries and nowadays. You've got Stevie Top Gun McCaig. On down you see Bucky McCloud's the other one. I think they still keep them in more touristy reasons. I think a tourist, instead of doing away just all the cultural ones, they have the ones in because tourists want to come in here and see that stuff. The day the Shankill Feud started was actually a day like this, it was a smashing day. Just in front of the Bucky McCloud mural there was a 40-foot sort of trailer put up, and that's where we were up doing talks and they were letting it rip. It's reported that it was Gina was the girl, Gina Adair was the girl letting rip with the handgun, and Johnny let one's rip himself, apparently. And then halfway through the proceedings, the parade was still coming round, and there was word sent down to the state that the UVF had attacked one of the LVF bands that was parading in the UDA parade, and that's what sparked the whole feud. They just started running, masses of numbers just started running up a Shankill, and they were all real, and everything just went took that day. And then after that, for about 3-4 weeks, it was just like no man's land. You were scared to go out of the house and stuff like that. Was there a big gunfight up there? Well, there was shots fired until the racks into the bar, but it was more trying to get railings off her, people hitting out there, and then after that at night, then there was not gun wars, we wouldn't call it gun wars, but there was tit for tat shooting sporadic throughout the Shankill, and then it escalated actually from a Shankill across the Portadown and away beyond. So that's where the Shankill bomb took part. The UDA headquarters at the time was up the stairs above a fish shop, so when the boys went in to try and bomb it, they went into the fish shop down the stairs thinking they were going to get the ones up the stairs as well.
I seen the bomb happening, I was just about there in a minibus. Seen the shop falling out. My dad was one of the first ones on the scene. Which was 10 then. So still remember it all.
We all know who it was like, no, it's just... It was just how he bombed it and then they all helped him, not knowing he was a bomber.
Basically, Mark Starr and another guy pulled Sean Kelly out of it.
Aye.
Everything was black because of the bomb effect. They brought him out and got him in the ambulance and saved him, not knowing at the time that he was one of the bombers. But I was just a mad time for Shankill. I can remember myself. I was actually playing football up in Foundry, and we were waiting on the guy coming, didn't weigh in, and he was actually killing it, Minnie Martian.
Well, folks, this actually here is a memorial to the people in this area, UDA personnel in this area that died during the conflict. It was actually at this stone here. I remember staying not so long ago there when the Ulster Freedom Fighters were stood down. They were stood down at this memorial. You probably read about it in the papers that time, the UFF were stood down, but it was actually at this mural, at this Remembrance Day, that they were actually stood down. The UDA is run by what is called the Inner Council. And what it is basically is that it's the six brigades or six brigade areas within the Ulster Defence Association. So each brigade area has a brigadier, and they sit on the what's called the inner council. So there's the six brigadiers plus the general secretary, and they make the decisions for the whole organisation. Then when they make a decision, then what happens then is that there would be a callback for what's called then an inner and outer, and that would be half a dozen people from each brigade area. Then they would go and make the big decisions. I was arrested for actually a punishment, beating on a guy. Guy said that a pistol whipped him. We got 5 years for that. I was released from prison about 9 months then, and then I was arrested again I was caught in Portadown with weapons and a hood. And I received 8 years in prison for that. There was a bomb went off under my bath. There was fire bombs going off within the prison. There was a fight going on for segregation basically, which culminated in us going on hunger strike then to get segregation. And set your breakfast on the bed beside you, but the wet before you bring it in, and then the wet when they take it out again, and then they bring they come in at lunchtime, they take your breakfast away, set your lunch there, and then they come in at tea time, they take the lunch away and they set the tea there. But the wet when they bring it in and the wet when they take it out, and what they also do is, you're in a cell with a piss pit, and what they do is they come in with a paper and put the paper in it, and it checks whether you've had food or not, whether there's salt or sugars in your
See, we had food the day we had Harry.
Who? No, fuck, they'd have loved it. They wanted you, they wanted you to eat.
Oh, sure, could have cut their stomach.
Yeah.
Much weight did you lose?
When I went on the hunger strike, it was 11 stone 2. I'm going to come off with 6 stone exactly.
Jesus Christ.
What did you have to eat when you come off?
They have to give you an injection first of all, and they give you an injection. As soon as it's like cod liver oil, you can taste it at the back of your throat. I can still taste that bloody injection. And then they give you a spoonful of custard, and then about 2 hours later, and a spoonful of custard, you think you'd eat a 4-course meal. Fuck, I can hardly move. But and then about 2 or 3 hours later, they give you a spoonful of scrambled egg. You go, I'll tell you the hardest part of it all, lads, was the first shit. Bear in mind here, you haven't shit in 20 odd days. So when I went for my first shit, I thought I was having a child.
Seriously, when you went on hunger strike, how did you feel about like the Republican hunger strike? Did you have any sympathy for them or anything like that there? Or
well, I explained to you earlier there that I broke all contact with the Ulster Defence Association when I came out of prison in Christmas 1980 because of their stance on the political status thing. I believed that we should have been fighting for that we weren't criminals and that we were political prisoners and we needed to fight for political status along with whoever else was fighting for it. During my stay, when I was come off the blanket protest, I was actually sent to work in the prison kitchens, and I was one of the conduits for bringing tobacco up to the Republican prisoners. So I was involved with supplying the Republican prisoners with tobacco and stuff from the conforming prisoners. So I agreed totally with their protest. But then your views started to change a bit. And all the time my views were changing a bit. But when it come to the time of the ceasefire, basically when we're talking about the ceasefire, now we knew that the Republicans were talking to the government about a ceasefire. We had heard these rumours, so we started to debate among ourselves about what would happen if there was a ceasefire. And for me it was pretty easy. I mean, if they're not killing our people, then we have to lay down our arms. One of our people put it in a great way. When we asked, are we going to continue if they call a ceasefire? And he says, well, it's like a football match. You can't play the match if there's only one team on the ground.